You remember when you got her? You had hours and hours to just drive and dream. You spent your Saturdays fixing whatever needed fixing just to keep her running right. 20 years later, isn't it time you two got reacquainted? When you're ready, we're here. Because at LMC Truck, we know that while time may have passed, your passion for her never faded. Get her back on the road where she and you belong.
Now you're watching Gearz, brought to you by LMC Truck. Keep them on the road.
There's no doubt that the Jeep is one of the most iconic vehicles ever built, because not only have they always been an amazing off-road rig right off the showroom floor, but they're also conducive to all kinds of modifications, so you can literally build one into whatever you want. But there is one other design feature that the Jeep has always had since the very beginning that really helps identify it, and that is the removable top. Now, the early Jeep tops weren't much more than a canvas flap, and as more people began using their Jeeps as daily drivers, the need for a better top became apparent. And the Jeep world quickly became divided into two groups, the hardtop guys and the soft-top guys. And for years, the general consensus was the hardtop was more solid and weatherproof, so you put it on in the winter. And then when spring rolled around, you put the soft top on to enjoy the sun. But it was noisy and drafty, and you were going to get wet when it rained. Well, Bestop decided it was time to change people's perspective of the soft top, and they came out with the new Trektop for the JL Jeep. Now, the goal here was very simple. It needed to be something that was easy to install, it had to have all kinds of different configurations and options, and it had to be something that was fully enclosed and weatherproof, like a hardtop. Yeah, those are pretty lofty goals from this pile of parts sitting here on the table. So, we are going to put those goals to the test by pulling off this hardtop, showing you how to put on a Trektop, and then comparing it to a factory hardtop. Okay, to get a starting point, we took the Skyjacker Jeep down the road to see what kind of noise was going on inside. And on the interstate at 70 miles an hour with those big 40-inch tall off-road tires, we measured in the ballpark of 68 to 70 decibels. The next stop was the car wash to not only measure for noise levels. All right, here comes the water blaster. It's on the windshield. And here we go, it's getting ready to come right over the top. It gets pretty loud in here. It's pretty loud at this point. But also check for leaks. And as expected, the hardtop was tight and dry. Still no leakage. In the styling department, the hardtop looks like a big square box. And the removable front panels are nice, but they're big and cumbersome, and you need a place to store them if you take them out. Okay, with that established, we're going to unbolt this hardtop and get it out of the way. And all it requires is the removal of 8 bolts and disconnecting a couple plugs. One cool feature about the JL Jeep is that it comes with its own special toolkit for removing the top and a place to store the hardware, so you have no excuse if you lose the bolts. Some common issues that people have with the hardtop is that you need an extra set of hands to lift it off, and you need a place to put the thing once you have it off, where it won't get damaged. And that can be a challenge because it's big and cumbersome and it won't fit just anywhere. Okay, with the hard top out of the way, we're ready to start putting the Trektop together. So first, we're going to assemble these rear door rails and get all the brackets in place. Now, these little pivot brackets like this, they come with these special little Delrin bushings. So you want to make sure you don't over-tighten them, just make them snug. Then we'll install the rear door rail assembly, the front door rail assembly, and the tailgate bar retainer on the Jeep. Notice how they pop into place with the locating tabs and they seal snugly against the factory weather stripping. And as you can see, there's no drilling required and all the necessary hardware is included. Okay, now we are ready for the top bows, and there's 3 of them. First one is this big one that goes across the back, followed by this smaller one, and then followed up by this one that's got the pivot points. And there is this mesh panel that goes between the 2 center bows. The header deck assembly that's attached to the top material is next, and you set it in place, and then it just mounts to the front door brackets, and then you connect the arms to the second bow. Then we just unfold the top material across the bows, and this is starting to look like a top. See, it's not that difficult, and we're almost done. Hey, welcome back to Gearz, where we are in the process of putting a new Bestop soft top on this JL Jeep to see how it compares with the factory hardtop. Now, as you can see, we already have the inner structure in place, the top material is on, and it's pretty obvious that this is going to look different back here than that old square hardtop, which is great. But it's also pretty obvious we're going to have to do something pretty significant back here if we're going to get it to seal up like a factory hardtop. So let's see what we got. For the sides, we've got these quarter panels that are made out of the same heavy-duty black twill material that the top is made out of. And this is the same stuff that you'll see on Mercedes or BMW convertibles. So you know it's going to last, it's going to look good, and it's not going to leak. Now, they also have plastic windows bonded right in, so those aren't going to shrink, they're not going to crack, and they're not going to leak on you. Now, for the rear panel, same thing. Got a big panel and a big plastic window bonded right into it. Now, if you'll notice, these panels have all kinds of zippers and Velcro and weather stripping all strategically located all over them. That's what's going to make them easy to put in. Check it out. The quarter windows slide in place under the upper flap on the top, and there's a stiffener panel in the rear that hooks over the rear bow and then fastens to the rear corner of the body tub. The rear window slides in the same way and then connects to the quarter window panels with heavy-duty zippers. A tailgate bar slides onto the bottom of the rear window and then snaps into the brackets that we installed earlier. Now, at this point, some of you might be thinking, well, I see what they were trying to do here, but obviously Bestop forgot something because there's no snaps here, there's no zippers, there's not even any weather stripping. So how is this panel going to connect to the body and be weatherproof? Well, these Jeeps have a belt rail that's right here in the body. And as you can see, Bestop continued it right up these door supports. And if you'll notice, the top has this hard plastic piece sewn right in. So all you do is just roll that hard plastic piece right into that belt groove and snap it in. You can see it pulls the canvas tight and gives you a 100% waterproof seal. It's the same right down here along the bottom. Just snap it in. Okay, once the sides and the back are all sealed, it's just a matter of zipping in the rest of the window, rolling these Velcro flaps over, and your soft top is ready to go. And that brings up the question, how does this new Trektop compare to the factory hardtop? Well, let's take a look at that. Number one, was it easy to install? Well, yeah, it's just some brackets and hardware that fit in the stock locations. Number two, does it have different configurations and options? Well, let's take a look at that. The Sunrider top can be opened or closed by one person in the driver's seat in just a few seconds. That is much better than the removable panels in the factory hardtop. The top can also be run with just the back window out, or as a bikini top with the back and the side windows out. And finally, the fastback styling of the Trektop just looks a lot more sporty than that big square hardtop, although you will lose a little bit of cargo space. The big question though is durability. Is it fully enclosed, quiet, and completely waterproof? Well, there's only one way to find out. Subject it to the same test that we did to the hardtop. So, running down the road at 70 miles an hour on the interstate, our decibel meter is showing about 65 decibels, which is actually less than the hardtop and is very respectable since we only have this heavy-duty twill canvas separating us from the elements. The big test, however, was the car wash. All right, this is the moment of truth. Windows up, everybody ready to go? We are going to test this soft top. Okay, the main places we're going to be watching is around the header panel up here, and then around the doors. Obviously the windows and stuff will be the same since it's the original doors. But the header panel and up around the top of the doors and in through the sides is where we're going to really see if this thing's going to be watertight or not. And with the water pounding on us in every direction, the soft top was definitely louder than the hard top, but not a drop leaked in around the doors, the window, or the side seals. No water coming through the back. Top. Nothing up here. Not a drop. Not a drop. Nothing coming in anywhere. And considering the fact that this is a soft top that spans the length of a four-door vehicle, that is amazing.
Tool Tech, brought to you by Cornwell Tools, the choice of professionals.
You know, there are a lot of tools out there to help you when you're working on your project. And most of the time, they're designed to work on a vehicle as it's sitting upright on its tires. But every once in a while, you need to be able to get under something and work on the floors or the frame. And that's not real easy if you're laying on your back and the floor is only about this far off your chest. It's kind of hard to do anything. If you've been there, you know what a pain that is. So being able to rotate a vehicle up on its side or completely upside down is huge for doing this kind of work. And there's one tool that will allow you to do that. It's called a rotisserie. It has nothing to do with the chicken you buy at the Quick Stop. It has everything to do with making your life easier in the shop. Check it out. The rotisserie is a fairly simple tool that has two heavy-duty frames with locking casters so you can easily move them around. There's a jack in the middle of each frame, and that lifts a rotating cradle. The cradles have adjustable arms that reach under a frame or a body or whatever and allow you to bolt to existing body holes or frame mounts. Now, once they're in place, the two rolling frames are connected by a long piece of square tubing. This makes it all one big assembly. At this point, you're able to raise or lower the cradles to center the weight of the vehicle on the pivot point. This way, the load won't be top heavy when you go to rotate it. Then the final step is to lift the jack so the vehicle will clear the bottom of the rotisserie when you rotate it. Now, once you have the project bolted on and everything assembled and balanced, you can just give it a push and the whole thing will rotate. It even has a locking pin on one end so you can lock the rotisserie in whatever position you need it to be in. So you can run it at an angle, you can run it straight up and down like this. Heck, you can turn the thing completely upside down if you need to. The best part is this whole assembly is completely mobile. So if you have a body on here that needs to go to the sandblaster, you just roll it onto a trailer, strap it down, and you're good to go. Now, I know you're thinking, whoa, expensive. No, because there's not a lot of high-tech stuff here. It's basically some well-placed jacks, casters, and metal from a company that knows how to put it together. You can afford something like this. And when you see what a rotisserie can do for you, it will quickly become priceless to you.
And now, Seal Tech, brought to you by Steel Rubber Products, helping restore the car of your dreams.
So, what is the biggest issue that people face when they're installing new rubber weather stripping? Well, gluing it in, of course, because if you do it wrong, it's not going to stay in place and you're going to make a huge mess. So the first question is, what kind of glue do you use? Because obviously there's a lot of choices, right? Wrong. The only thing that you should be using when you're putting in rubber weather stripping is black super weather strip adhesive, in spite of what you may have seen on the internet. Now, I know that black silicone looks similar, it's black, it smells the same, it's an adhesive, and a lot of people use it to try to fix leaky weather stripping, but this is not designed to glue it in. It's a completely different product made for a different application. And that's the main problem that people have with weather strip adhesive. They don't realize how it was designed to work, and there's nothing on the tube that tells you how to do it. So they treat it like silicone, and they just put a big bead right down the center of the panel. Then they just mash the rubber down on top of that. Now, before I do that, notice that this rubber has a natural bend in it from being rolled up. So when you mash it down onto the adhesive, not only do you squish adhesive everywhere, but as soon as you let go of it, there you go. Now you got a mess, because you're not only fighting the natural curve of the rubber, but you're fighting the wet adhesive, and it only goes downhill from there. Weather strip adhesive is designed to be used as a contact cement, which means you put a thin bead on the surface and then smooth it out with a popsicle stick or a plastic knife. A piece of masking tape is a great way to protect the surrounding paint from adhesive. Then spread a light coat of adhesive on the rubber as well, and spread that out as well and wait until it gets tacky. Finally, spread another light coat on one of the surfaces and pull up your tape. Then set the rubber in place. Now make sure everything is lined up properly, because as soon as you touch the rubber to the surface, it's gonna stick. Now let's look at the difference. This one is straight, and it's bonded enough to where I can actually pick up this piece of 16th inch steel plate. This one still hasn't bonded. Look at that mess. And if you've ever had to clean weather strip adhesive off of metal, you know what a pain in the butt that is. Fortunately, if you do it right, you never have to deal with this again, and your weather stripping is going to stay where it should.
And now, Parts Bin.
When you're putting together a cool interior on a custom car or truck project, you're always going to need a bunch of switches for the headlights and the windshield wipers and the radio and that kind of thing, and you're never going to get the knobs to match right out of the box. And nothing looks more hacked up than a bunch of mismatched knobs. So what do? Well, fortunately, Watson Street Works has a whole line of custom knobs to help you finish off your interior. They have the traditional billet knob, then they've got these cool bullet knobs, and then they have these that look like a little chess piece. All are really cool, and all are available with different size holes, so you can literally fit them to whatever shaft you're working with. Now, to finish off your interior, they also have window cranks and door handles. This is their banjo style, which is a really cool classic look. So if you're finishing up your interior and you need those special pieces, don't know where to find them, Watson Street Works can probably help you out.
What are you working on? brought to you by Woodward Fabrication, selling quality metalworking equipment since 1966.
Today's What Are You Working On comes from Ryan Cordero from Houston, Texas, and it's all about when he made a promise to his fiancée, Natalie, that they would drive his 55 Cadillac finished away at their wedding. Well, the problem is the Cadillac looks like this. So Ryan had his work cut out for him. But there's more to the story than that, because Natalie is a car girl. And she thought, wouldn't it be cool to drive off with a classic Shasta trailer behind the Cadillac? Of course, Ryan said, yeah. So they found one, and the race was on to get them both done in time for the wedding. Check this out. Natalie started working on the trailer. She replaced some rotten wood. And now she's in the process of installing new metal. This is an awesome girl. Ryan, on the other hand, check this out. He replaced a lot of rusty metal in the floor of the Cadillac. He even grafted on a set of 57 Packard taillights. Now, you might be wondering, what about the wedding? Well, Natalie's mom has been planning that, and it's a good thing because they have until March 30th to get this stuff ready, man. What an awesome deal. What a great way to start a life together, building a couple of projects. So, to show what a cool project this is, we hooked up with our buddies at Woodward Fab. We're gonna give you a bead roller. Of course, it comes with all the dies so you can roll some panels. I know you're gonna need that making some floors and making those panels. Also, since you're both obviously gearheads, we're gonna give you a couple of gearhead t-shirts. And we're going to give you 2 project planning books, one for the car and one for the trailer. There's not a better way to keep track of the project and what you've done to it than that. Also, we're going to give you a copy of Wheel Hub magazine. This is a coffee table level book that shows you what's going on in all kinds of cool shops across the nation. And we're going to give you one of our children's books, The Purple Bicycle, because pretty soon you're going to need that. That's all I'm going to say. For the rest of you guys, if you want to get in on this, get your project featured on the show, go to the website, go to Gearz Nation, and submit it into What Are You Working On. The website's also the place to find out more information on any products you may have seen on the show, any Gearz merchandise, and how to join Gearz Nation so you can stream any of our episodes commercial-free. Finally, don't forget to like us on Facebook so you can get some behind-the-scenes footage of our weekly web series, Shifting Gears. All right, that wraps it up for us today. If you don't have a project to work on, I'm sure that Ryan and Natalie would love it if you made a trip to Houston and helped them out. So get out there, work on something. We'll see you next time.